Are your hanging baskets looking like garbage this time of year? Let's chat. I have got a couple problems with my baskets that I want to show to you to help you diagnose and treat your own hanging baskets so we can just all have amazingly lush, beautiful hanging baskets together. The overly dry hanging basket. Obviously, there is something wrong with the drip line on this basket, it's in this case, because I happen to know this hanging basket receives the brunt of the wind that hits my house, and it dries out so much faster than all of the rest of mine that even if the drip line is working appropriately, it actually needs a faster drip line for this basket. We're gonna add one. This is a 4 gallon per hour dripper. My drippers don't run nearly long enough. It's a whole thing. We're not gonna talk about it. Normally I recommend a very slow dripper, maybe a 2 gallon or a 1 gallon, and running your drip line short bursts with time in between for the water to absorb. I've got to add a 4 gallon dripper to this basket. Let's go.
But before we go, just a quick editor's note. I added a bunch of clips at the end talking about the front flower beds in my garden right now. So be sure to hang on to the end to see those.
You can tell from watching this basket that there's a problem because of how much it moves in the wind. Of course, the one time I need it to be windy is when I'm recording, but it's actually spinning just a little bit. On this side, maybe you can see it a little bit better. Can you see how quickly that is moving? That means that it doesn't have enough water in the basket. The other way you can tell is by walking up and swinging the basket. It's really, really light, which means it's not getting enough water. My other baskets are much heavier than this one in particular. So we're gonna swap out his drip line. I had to wait until it was raining because I did not want to get stung. So here's my end of my dripper, goes in there. I'm just gonna gently work this off the end and snap a new one on. The thing I don't love about these drippers is that none of them say the speed, and that drives me crazy. Now the other thing is, this might not even be hitting the basket. What I need to do is maybe zip tie it to this loosely so that it can still sway in the wind, but that it'll stay kind of pointed down into the basket. Before we do any of those things, we're gonna run the drip line with my app. I'm not going to tell you which one it is because apparently we don't like it. So find an app better than this one. I always go down and turn it on the box down in the yard. Since we have irrigation, there's a green box in your yard. And if you try the different dials, one will usually turn on your drip. And if you have sprayers, the other ones will turn on the sprayers. Okay, I can hear it bubbling out. I just want to make sure that there's not a clog or something keeping this from getting the amount of water that it should be. Oh, here we go. Fantastic. Honestly, I think part of the problem is the curve of this. I think zip tying it down is going to be a game changer. I couldn't find any zip ties, but what I did find was the wire from my wiring roses onto garden fences or something like that. The video I posted about how to wire your roses to a fence. I actually think this will be even better than the zip tie because I'm going to make a coil and wrap it around so that it can slide up and down, but not slide out. So I think we're onto something here. I had to do this in the rain because the wasps have been so bad. I'm gonna try and trim some of this so you can see. It needs to be trimmed up anyway. I'm hosting a garden party here in just a couple weeks, so this was on my list of things to take care of before that happens. All right, let's see, can you kind of see? So there's a wire right here, a big black wire. Stick those in my pocket. And I'm just gonna gently start wrapping this wire around, and then it can slide and hopefully stay. So I'm wrapping around both wires right now. Now I'm wrapping around just the drip, and then I'm poking the wire into the middle of the basket to help hold the drip in place. So I'm basically just wiring the drip down in. Yes, okay. Let's make it look a little more attractive. No one's ever gonna see that or care. That'll still slide. Make it a little bit looser so it can slide better in the wind. I don't want it to go snapping my drip line. I think that's the ticket. As long as we have the ladder out and the wasps gone, I'm gonna go ahead and rehab this buddy too. Please be gone, wasps. So here's a funny story for you about hanging baskets. When we first moved to this house, there weren't enough trees. Our home was a new build. We designed it and built it. Well, we didn't build it. Someone else built it. And there weren't enough trees for the birds. So I had these beautiful hanging baskets. I'm a little wary of birds. So I keep, not anymore, I used to keep rubber snakes in my hanging baskets. And cute people on Instagram would be like, excuse me, I don't know if you've noticed, there is a snake in your hanging basket. Like, thank you so much. Now here's the thing. We're kind of done with the snakes for the time being. And so my wonderful family, cute as they are, has decided it's very fun to hide the snakes all around different places in the house and garden. So I jump all the time because there's random snakes in my bathroom, going up the stairwell, in the petunias, you know, wherever. The problem is someday there's gonna be a real snake in the garden and I'm gonna go grab it thinking it's a rubber snake and have a literal heart attack and die. That's how it's gonna go down. When you see my obituary, you'll know. That's what happened. Death by rubber snake. I only have a month to get these back in shape. I wish that wire was just a little longer. I kind of want it to go deeper into that soil. 1 month. Actually, a couple days less than 1 month. It's coming up really soon. We're gonna make it though. It's gonna be beautiful. Okay, there we go. I need a taller tripod, but I don't have one. We'll redistribute a few of the blooms as well while I'm up here, because my wind kind of blows them all over the place, all to one side. All right, I'm just aiming the bottom of the cone so that it drips into my window box so they can have any plant food that drips into there. Now, if you're wondering how I take care of my petunias, I have everything listed with all of the links in my Petunia 101 guide. You can find that in the links below. Lots and lots of great tips and info there and wonderful pictures too. I don't know if you can really see it, but all the water drips down. And it's this metal, this is just a metal plant saucer. And then it's angled on the post to drip back in to the hanging basket. While we're here with scissors and a little bit of rain, and chop these off. These are the seed pods on my canna. They just bloom and bloom for me when I cut these off. So off they go. I try to get them as low as I can, but these are not great scissors. They're actually my worst scissors, which is why I chose them to cut the wire with. So they don't cut through the cannas as well as I would like. Some of them still have flower pods on them, so I'm just gonna cut off the spent blooms and leave the ones that haven't opened up yet. I should have left that one. The bumblebees have been going crazy this year over the addition of specifically these cannas in the window boxes to my garden. That's a new one for me. And they have been really excited. So that's been fun to watch, even though it makes me nervous. They have loved it. And I felt like the bumblebees were kind of missing from the garden last year. There weren't as many as there usually are, so it's exciting to see them back again. I think I'm going to be a little overzealous and go ahead and pull off most of these because I want it to bloom really, really full in a couple weeks. In case you're wondering if it's windy here, yeah, it's always windy here. Always. Always windy here and dry. Now let's talk about this hanging basket for a second. This one is looking pretty good. It's much heavier than the other one, but it has a lot of little scraggly bits. So we're gonna start taking those off and trimming and shaping this up. And this one has already been given some flower food, so I'm not gonna give it any more right now. But we're just gonna pull these long, scraggly pieces off. And I'm also gonna check these for aphids. If your baskets are heavy and they feel nicely watered, aphids are the #1 thing that will make them appear dry. So it will look like your plant's not getting enough water and you're water and water and water, and you'll actually just have aphids. But this one is looking really good. I'm gonna grab my ladder because I just saw a cute little spider in my basket and I don't want one in my hair. So I'm gonna get my ladder so I can go above these. I liked the idea of wiring that other basket, so we're gonna wire this one up too. Why not? While we're here, the weather is nice. It's not crazy windy. I mean, it's definitely windy, but nothing crazy. Every time I come up here, I pray there's not a bird that's gonna come out and attack me. I haven't seen any, but you never know. I gotta remember to tell my husband these are wired on, because he'll come out to take them off for me at the end of the season, and I don't want him to have any trouble pulling this down. I cut a really nice long piece of wire so I could wrap that down into the soil better this time. There we go. So we're gonna trim this up too. I have these really fancy rose pruning shears. They're like electric, incredibly amazing. And the sweet ladies who introduced me to them are always like, be so careful, which I am. I always do two hands. I feel like these shears are more hazardous to me because I'm constantly pulling and trimming, so be really careful. Making some drastic cuts. Why not? I want to show you how amazing this is in the end. Okay, we're looking good. Looking good. Let's deadhead these cannas while I have my Felcos out. I can link these below. I love this size. If you are a gardener that has smaller hands, uh-oh, here come the wasps. I'm so glad I got that done while they were gone. I wish the rain would come back. I need 10 more minutes. There's so many. I see 6 right now. They also really like to hang out on my American flag. I don't know why. It's the strangest thing. All right, we might be done here until sundown, sunset. Sunset, sundown. I don't know if this is true, but my husband told me wasps remember faces. And I'm not sure if he said that just to mess with me, which is highly likely, knowing my husband. And now I can't decide how to act around wasps. I also heard that same thing about chickens, which I also don't know if that's true, but okay, you have to see this. My sweet Caroline sweet potato vine is flowering, and it's so pretty. Look at how pretty that flower is. There's multiples down in there. I can't see them from this side. I do love this plant. It's so vigorous, and it grows great.
So I decided while I was out here trimming everything up, why stop there? I am going to go ahead and trim these up too. I could not for the life of me remember the name of this beautiful new plant, so I'm doing a voiceover because I didn't want to mess it up. This is a really fun one, and it has bloomed incredibly well for me all summer. I put these hydrangeas on a drip line. You can't see it. It's back behind the pot. And it has worked so, so well. Now, this is the first year that I have grown this specific plant, so I wasn't totally sure how much I should prune it back, or really if I should prune it back much at all. So I just did a little bit here and there of the really straggly, long ones to try and get it to bush up a little bit more. Honestly, I think it looks pretty great the way it is. This was a new release variety introduced to me by a local grower, Olson's Greenhouse Gardens, who I'm an ambassador for, and I have really loved getting all their tips and new insight on plants to share with you. Something I love doing in my own personal garden is I keep baskets around, either from the thrift store, or this cute basket was from Walmart a year or two ago. It was the Better Homes and Gardens line, and I really hope that they start carrying these again. These were amazing. If anyone works for Walmart, call me. We need to get these back in stores. They were so good. They're made out of this plasticky, it's not a resin, but I don't know, but they do so well in the weather, and I leave them in strategic-ish places throughout my garden to collect trimmings like this. Now, I would feel silly mentioning this as a tip, but I have loved it, and it's been a game changer. I make these little funnels out of used or old milk cartons, and they fit the mouth of my milk carton jugs perfectly. And this is something that I noticed my cute neighbor Autumn doing. And so I started doing it too because it's so smart. So what she does is she pre-mixes her whatever flour food you're using. I'm trying out a new one here, new to me anyway. I know a lot of people love this particular flour food, but she pre-mixes everything and then sets it out in jugs. I'm not sure if Autumn does it right after she feeds her plants. I tend to keep the jugs full and put the plant food outside in a pretty basket. And then I store the jugs full of water in the basket, and then I'll put the plant food in right before I feed them. I don't know why I do that. I guess sometimes I wonder if having them in water too long does anything. I know for a fact it's fine to use the powder and just add it as you go, but that's what I do with mine. I'm taking these out to feed them right now, so that's why I'm filling them up. These cute double scoop echinacea coneflower came home in my suitcase from my trip to Ball. Thank you so much, Seth Reed. I did an interview with him. He gave me these to go plant in my garden because I have been looking all over for them. And yeah, I'm just rehabbing them a little bit here before I take them out to plant them. They needed a good trim after being shoved in my suitcase. I just popped off a bunch of blooms and stems to get them in my suitcase to be able to get them small enough to bring them home because they're quite large and have really sturdy stems, which with all my wind, that's something I was really excited about when I saw these in the gardens at Ball. So check out that video with Seth if you haven't seen it already. He's a character and it's so fun to watch and to listen to all of his expertise and advice. Something you can't tell in this video is that this faucet is actually a tap faucet, where when you touch the handle or you touch the top of the faucet, anywhere metal, it will turn on and off. And one thing that I love about it is that it has a timer, so I can't accidentally flood my kitchen if I start filling up things and then I forget. I know that's a problem. I've had a couple friends who've had water damage in their houses from filling tubs or different things. So I really do love the safety feature on this faucet. If you've been considering one, 10 out of 10. I recommend it. Our builder put it in because they couldn't get something they were supposed to put in our house. And so this was kind of a consolation prize. And I quite honestly wasn't very excited about it when they installed it, but I would go and buy one, hands down, no questions asked. It's amazing. If you grow a lot of petunias, you might know they get anemic and iron deficient. I don't think it's called anemic. I think it's called chlorosis, but whatever. And this particular flower food, the one called Jack's, has iron in it, which has been super helpful. I don't have to get two different products and mix them together. I have some things that I truly love, and I don't know, I always like experimenting. This one's been really good so far. I definitely have some petunias down in the ground in my flower beds that need some of this. My husband's been telling me, hey, you've got yellow petunias down there. He's on board with this, so I've got to go give them a little bit of this plant food too. I'm trying to just pour this on the actual petunias planted in between these canna. The canna have gone so crazy that they're kind of edging everything out, to be quite honest, but I love the way they look. And the hummingbirds are just so into them. I don't know. I had no idea until I planted these in a spot so visual from the inside of my house how much the hummingbirds would really enjoy them and come visit. I wake up every single day to hummingbirds on all of these plants. I will continue to grow these. I really liked having them up high. Like I said, I can see them through the windows of my house, and yeah, they've been great. You can see I have another trimming basket. This was the smaller size of those same baskets from Walmart. Target had some similar ones too a couple years ago. The best time to watch for these baskets is in the spring, I've found. And I have so many baskets, but I always just grab a couple more because I guess I'm obsessed with baskets. And they're just really useful to carry all of the things back and forth. And I can leave them out, so it saves me a lot of time because I'm not constantly running into my house to grab a 5-gallon bucket, is what I used to use before I made the plan to start using these baskets. And this way I just leave them out and I don't think they look ugly, and I use them for a lot of different things. Obviously they were intended to be kind of a planter. It's not made to put your soil directly in it, but I love putting a grower's pot, just a pot that your plant comes in. You know, they sell those drop and decorates, and so I can just stick one of those in here. Sometimes the drop and decorates are a little bit too short for this deep of a basket, but I'll put crushed up old plastic pots in the bottom of the basket and then just set the drop and decorate on top, and they usually fit perfectly. So if you find good baskets this size, that's a great way to use them as well. I have friends who have said that if you spray them with a polyacrylic spray like Crystal Clear, that this one's kind of one of those plastic coated or plastic recycled material baskets, but if you spray the natural ones that are, you know, those hyacinth woven baskets with a crystal clear or a polyacrylic sealant that they will last way longer for you. I haven't tried that yet. If you've tried that, let me know. I would really like to try that on a couple this upcoming season because I think it's a great idea. The biggest drawback of this beautiful porch is once everything starts filling in the flower beds below, and also the window boxes up on the second level, I can't reach around to trim things. I usually have to get my hedge clippers out if I want to trim anything like these petunias. I want them to get a little bit thicker and fuller, so I'm trimming them back just like I did on some of the hanging baskets. But it's really hard and I can't reach them past a certain point, so I just came in and did what little I could reach and did the best I could. I always get a lot of questions about what are the purple flowers back behind the limelight hydrangeas in this video. You can see them in this clip, but the purple flowers are just hibiscus topiaries. They're not any special kind of hibiscus topiaries. They're just kind of the generic ones that I bought a couple years ago. But the way that they are a topiary makes it so that I could plant them back behind the limelights. At least for now, they might get crowded out eventually, but the limelights are 6 years old. So I think it's going to work out for the long run. But those are hibiscus topiaries. And I love the additional height that they give under the window boxes and above the limelights. If I was looking for new ones, I would definitely look into Proven Winners has some really pretty hibiscus topiaries that I just saw at my local store. They had them at Home Depot, and they had a really pretty double ruffle flower in the middle that looked, I don't know what it looked like, but it didn't look like a traditional hibiscus. Whatever you end up doing though, if you're trying to go for this same look, you want to read the label and make sure that it is a topiary standard, like a tree, if you're going to plant it back behind. Those Proven Winners ones look like they might just be a shrub and not an actual topiary. I'm not totally sure, but make sure you read the label. I just think they're cute and would love to find a spot to use them in my yard.
And the wasps are back. So I think I'm done here. What do we have here? We have some cicada eggs too. That's fun. This is what cicada eggs look like. I really wanted to deadhead the rest of these snapdragons, but I'm gonna just do kind of a little one-handed business. I wanted a flower again. I used to have someone troll me on Instagram daily, every single time I posted about pollinator garden and pollinator. And it was so frustrating because I have too many pollinators in my garden. It doesn't sound possible, but if there's anything I am not lacking, pollinators. I am not lacking in pollinators. That is for sure.
If you want to follow along, I have been posting new content on Wednesday and Sunday mornings here on YouTube, but I know I need to do a mini garden tour of how I plant my beds. I have that written up in my Petunia 101 guide. It has great pictures. It shows how I do it the easy way, the different types of plants I use, pest control. It even has cliff notes if you're a busy person like myself and you don't have time to go through and read all of the things. So I like to make it easy for you. I think it even has a shopping guide in there with links so you can find things online and just have them shipped right to your door. This year I went with wave petunias in the lower beds, the pink and the white that you see here. And up in my window boxes, I have Proven Winners super petunias in jazzberry and also in bubblegum. But boy, these wave ones are just looking so beautiful in the ground right now. And you can't tell, I need to do a video when I pull them out, but back behind the wave petunias here, there are 3 giant planters that have canna in them. But the petunias and the hydrangeas are almost choking them out because they are so lush and full right now. There's a little bit of alyssum sneaking in here too that just seeded from my window boxes the year before. Here's one of the canna. There's just one. Okay, maybe 2 left in these little planters because I can't reach in there to prune them back and deadhead them, and my hydrangeas have just truly filled in.
Well, I just met my UPS man, and I only have 2% battery remaining, so I am going to sign off for today. Let me know if you have any questions or concerns about your plants, and I'll be back making more hanging basket content very soon. And if you feel like it, like and subscribe. I'd love to see you here more. See you next time.